Jodie Whittaker, Chris Chibnall, please come back. All is forgiven. Oh my God. Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on X Twitter at Movies TV Mad and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X. A very warm welcome to Sunday's edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily and my review of Doctor Who Season 1, Episode 4, 73 Yards. And basically, if you haven't seen it yet, spoiler alert, and plus the Doctor is only at the beginning and end of this episode, as we discussed in my preview the day before. Now, I've seen many Doctor-like episodes. There was the one in Season 2, I forgot what it's called, that people don't like. I thought that was a fabulous episode, and I enjoyed it because the writing was great and the characterizations was interesting. I thought Blink was an outstanding Doctor-like episode. Turn Left was the best Doctor-like episode. So just because the Doctor isn't there, I'm not saying it's right that the Doctor isn't there, but if you're going to do it well. So, look, oh dear, 73 yards. I really was excited about this episode. At the very least, I thought we may get to know Ruby Sunday. If the episode is focused on her, we may find out more about the mystery that is Ruby Sunday. I didn't expect a big clue, but the TV spots and trailers showed this woman from a distance 73 yards away from Ruby. Interesting, right? Well, the first half of the episode felt like a horror movie. It felt creepy. It felt interesting, but RTD dropped the ball in the final act of this episode. And we'll get there. It's like he was literally making it up as he was going along and didn't know what to do. Didn't know about an ending. But it's also a very, very inconsistent episode. It gets to a moment where it jumps into something else. It's like he's desperate, or Disney have told him you've got to do this here, or he's decided he's got to do this here and get political. He ruins the whole vibe of the episode. So basically, the premise, the Doctor and Ruby arrive in Wales, nice and cheap, because that's where Bad Wolf Studios are based, basically. By the way, there was an idiot on YouTube selling the rumour that Russell T Davies got fired from Doctor Who. Russell T Davies, it's literally virtually impossible for Russell to be fired. He's a partner of Bad Wolf Studios, who are co-producing Doctor Who, along with the BBC and Disney. They're partners. You can't fire RTD. He can only leave if he chooses to and dissolve the arrangement he's made with the BBC and Disney. So at the end of the day, he isn't going to get fired. He'll only leave if he decides he should leave, or, the BBC say enough's enough, it's time to rest Doctor Who. So don't listen to clickbait nonsense like that. So the Doctor and Ruby arrive in Wales. And then the Doctor treads in this kind of magical thing that someone's made up. It's kind of got it's something about Mad Jack, oh he's died, rest in peace or whatever it is. He treads in it. All of a sudden Ruby looks up and the Doctor has vanished. She sees a woman conveniently 73 yards away from her. She looks old, she's watching her. And Ruby she's trying to find the Doctor and she can't find him. And this old woman is stalking her, but she's always at a distance and she can't see who she is. She sees this woman walking her dog. She tells the woman she's lost her. She lies about a car being broken down. She asks the woman as she's going towards there to ask the woman why she's following her and if she's seen the Doctor. A bit odd. Oh yeah, I'm being stalked by this woman. Ask her if she's seen my mate. Very, very strange. Anyway, she approaches her. All of a sudden, the woman looks up at Ruby and she looks scared and she runs away. And this happens quite often. If anyone approaches this woman, they look at Ruby from a distance, they shit themselves and they run away. So, as I say, it starts off as a very creepy horror movie kind of vibe. It's interesting. Murray Gold's music is very horror movie, very, very... It creates that environment that you should be afraid that something really creepy is going on. So it's interesting. The episode is plodding along quite well. I'll be honest about that. So she goes to the pub. She goes to the creepy pub, and everyone's staring at her and being a bit, attitudey with her. Anyway, they lie to her and wind her up and do a gag about like her treading on this thing and about Mad Jack and all of this. Anyway, they start giggling at her. It's fine. There's someone knocking on the door. She gets scared, and it's all a gag basically, just to wind her up. Anyway, someone's leaving the pub, so he tells Ruby he'll go up to the woman stalking her again. He does. He runs off. Same thing happens again. He's scared. He runs off. What the hell is going on? So I can't remember what order this happens, so I'll do it anyway. So anyway, Ruby decides to go home. So Ruby goes home to her mother, her foster mother, her adopted mother, and she persuades her to go up to this woman who's stalking her. But she's going to hold the phone up so Ruby can hear what she's saying. Ruby's got her phone, the mother's got her phone on. Anyway, Ruby's foster mother goes up to this woman, says something to the mother shits a brick, runs off, changes her locks, wants nothing to do with Ruby. So the plot is thickening. Then Kate Lethbridge-Stewart from Unit finds her. Yeah. And Anita Dobson is in this episode, basically saying this is nothing to do with me, and she goes back in. But anyway, so Kate Lethbridge-Stewart goes, don't worry, we've got the full backing of Unit. We look after all the people who have travelled with the Doctor. She goes, yeah, but I haven't been with him for long. He's still got a bloody TARDIS key. By the way, when she's trying to get into the TARDIS, why didn't she use the TARDIS key? Did she use the TARDIS key? I've forgotten anyway. Maybe it's not a plot hole. Maybe it's a Mick hole. Anyway, so Kate goes, don't you worry, Ruby. You're safe with us now. We're going to bring you in. They're going to arrest the person who's following you. That she won't do nothing to us. My men have got all the training, all the gear. She can't do anything. Anyway, they go up to her. She says something to them. They all shit themselves. They radio into Kate. Kate shits herself and leaves Ruby on her own. So, as I say, first half seems okay. I'm getting into this. I mean, I liked Boom this week, and I'm kind of ready to... I'm thinking about what I'm going to say in my review right here and right now. And I'm thinking, well, so far I might say this is actually a better episode. And this season of Doctor Who is Doctor Who is starting to improve. Then, after Kate leaves her, all of a sudden she meets this... She turns on the TV and she sees this guy with black hair, Welsh politician, obviously right-wing, he's white, and he's trying to get elected, he's a local guy, and she realises, and he says, he talks about his history, he goes, they used to call me Mad Jack. Boom, she clicks in, so she goes to work for him, and she comes up, and all of a sudden she's wearing glasses, she's all smug, all of a sudden, after 5 episodes, Ruby has got this sudden confidence. She's cocky, she's arrogant, and it's weird. This bolt of confidence comes out of the blue. It doesn't make any sense, and it's from this moment onwards that the episode goes on a downward spiral, in my opinion. She goes and works for this geezer, and basically he wants to fire a nuclear missile, because he wants to defend the Welsh shores, right? It's very typical right-wing rhetoric. We know what RTD's doing. But basically, it's inconsistent to the rest of the episode. It is weird. Anyway, she uses this stalker. So basically, the stalker, says something to one of the men or something, or to the politician. Anyway, guess what happens? This politician who's just been elected Prime Minister shits himself, runs away, resigns from being Prime Minister. We all live happily ever after because we don't have a scummy, straight white male right-winger running the country. I'm no right-winger, but it was so insulting, it was so cringe. So she's used this stalker that's been scaring her for the whole episode to get rid of a straight white dude Tory politician. Boring, put the fucking kettle on. It was ridiculous. This is when the episode began to, as I say, take a nosedive. And anyway, I think it goes 40 years in the future. I think what they're trying to say, there's this other girl who works for this guy and calls him a monster. Maybe he's sexually harassing her. It doesn't go into it. Actually, let's jump back to the gay guy in the pub. Oh my God, that person knocking on the door is going to kill me first, and we all know why. Yes, trying to say he's going to die first because he's gay. Oh my fucking God, RTD. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with your head, pal? You used to be my hero. What is going on? Your writing has deteriorated. Anyway, 40 years in the future, she becomes an old lady in a hospice. And anyway, she even tells the nurse that she once, in her younger days, she could create snot. Anyway, she goes back to the TARDIS, and what happens in the end, she can see the Doctor and her arrive when she's younger. So for some reason she says, I never got it. I've only just got it. So I don't understand because, look, I've told you before, I sometimes look to the floor when I'm watching something, especially something I'm not interested in. So I'm not sure if she kind of, her timeline converges. I don't know. I don't know how they did it. But basically, she watches the Doctor and her younger self come out the TARDIS in Wales, but the Doctor doesn't tread in it. Ruby says, don't tread in that. But she can't remember what happened. Young Ruby doesn't know what's happened. She looks up, she sees the woman again. The Doctor looks, what woman? Can't see any woman, right? So, and that's it. It never happens. The Doctor didn't know he disappeared because he doesn't disappear this time. And Ruby and the Doctor live happily ever after. And looking at the next time footage, next week's episode is even fucking worse, if possible. So, it's interesting, isn't it? We said this about Chibnall in season 11. Writing too many episodes. They need a writer's room, like Chibnall promised us and didn't give us. And it's happening with RTD, writing too many episodes. He's got no new ideas, and he's just copying himself. And he's not giving us good stories. Because, as I say, this started off with a lot of tension. It was interesting. It had a horror movie vibe. Then he went to this Tory, straight, white male, right-wing politician threatening to let off nukes, and, you know, it just became current day again. And I mean, when we saw the trailer and we saw like the on-set production photos of this guy, I thought a whole episode was going to be, you know, about him and this straight white male. I mean, thank God we didn't get that. But it was terrible. And from that moment, and Ruby's weird fake, you know, new confidence and arrogance, it seemed like it became another episode. Ruby became a new person, and it simply didn't make sense. The whole episode just fell to pieces from the moment Ruby puts those glasses on. And basically, it's clear he didn't know what to do with the final half of the episode. But clearly, he wanted to add the Tory politician. So ultimately, I'd give the first half of the episode, at the very least, 5 out of 10, 5.5, 6 out of 10. It's not great Who, but it's okay Who, considering what we've been subjected to thus far. But again, the episode ends up really, really bad. And yeah, it's a nothing episode. It's a filler episode. I suppose you could say that the old woman and Ruby, it's all to do with her arc. I don't know. And quite frankly, I don't care. You had, and I've already had to redo this video again, so I don't know if I've said this. I may be sounding like I'm repeating myself. I'm losing my mind, 51, getting old, get over it. But anyway, you had one thing to do. You had a whole episode focused on Ruby Sunday, and I still don't know who this young woman is. And I'll repeat myself again. After Rose, I know exactly who Rose is and what her motivations are. Same with Martha Jones, Donna Noble, Amy Pond, Wilfred, Clara, Bill. I know them. I even kind of know the companions from the first episode from the Chibnall era. They were underdeveloped, and he made them feel dull at times, but you knew their motivations. You knew Ryan's motivation. You know, he had this, love-hate thing with Graham. You knew Graham's a cancer survivor, so you got what was going on in the core of his soul. Gaz is a young police constable, and she wants to be given more responsibility. You understand their motivations from the first point. And I always say this to my amateur dramatics team. Always put your soul into a character. Put a little fraction of your personality. Yes, they're not you, but inject personality. And it's my job as someone who's writing the character for you to write the motivations, but it's your job to convey those motivations. And, you know, I've told you this before, Millie Gibson is a fabulous young woman. She really is a pleasure to be around, and she's a really talented young woman, and she's being hung out to dry here. And it's just not fair, because this could have been an episode, the episode where Ruby Sunday, we feel her, we love her. I don't hate this character, but I don't love this character because I don't know you. You are literally the poem from Friends, the Empty Vase. There's nothing there. You're just a mystery box. And before people say, like Clara, no. I knew what Clara's motivations were. I knew Clara in The Snowman, that Clara, and she was very different to the Clara Oswald we met when we met the other version that actually became the Doctor's companion. We knew both of those characters, and Jenna played them so differently, and they were differently written by Moffat as well, which was great. But this companion, I am stunned. The same writer who gave us Rose, Martha, and Donna, and Wilfred, and, you know, Rosie's mum, and Mickey Smith, hasn't given us anything to work with here as an audience. There's nothing to this companion. And it's on him. It's down to him. He's made this decision. And I don't know why. It was strange. It is strange. Why he's done this. I don't get it. And it's a shame, because he teased me for the first half of this episode that this was going to be good. That this would end in a good way. It ended with a whimper, not a bang. Oh, it's old Ruby. Oh, and that could be a clue about the mystery of Ruby. Is Ruby her own mother? I do have a little out there theory that maybe, just maybe, you know, maybe Ruby is the Master's daughter. Who knows? Who knows? Because I think RTD, did I mention this yesterday? Well, I'm going to say it again. We got the Sean Pertwee rumours, who maybe he's playing his father's Doctor. Maybe he's playing the Master. We will find out in the season finale, so that's kind of exciting. But the episode hasn't earned an exciting finale. It wouldn't surprise me if the double finale's half decent, but I thought the giggle would be half decent, and it wasn't. Again, it was just RTD repeating Last of the Time Lords. But who knows? So we will see. But it doesn't really matter. If you don't earn your season, if you don't give the audience great episodes within the season, we are now in the 4th episode. The first episode wasn't good. The second episode wasn't good. The third episode was half decent, with very passive-aggressive messaging. And I know I said I agreed with a lot of the messaging. I didn't agree with the anti-faith stuff. That was pathetic. I'm not religious myself, but the aggression that Moffat went after people with faith was a bit too much, if you ask me. You don't have to agree with people. You don't have to be so aggressive towards what people believe in. Anyway, and this episode ends up being half a half-decent episode and half a bad episode where the Doctor isn't in. You see, the thing is, if you're going to have an episode of Doctor Who without the Doctor, you really have to make the companion shine, or whoever you're focusing. And RTD has done this masterfully before. Moffat has done this masterfully before. But there's nothing masterful going on here. This is a man, as I've said before, running on empty and giving us nothing. I've told you before, I don't care about ideology, I don't care about politics, I don't care about commentary. It's annoying, but I don't care about it. As I said before, if you give me great Doctor Who, great films, great television, I don't care how many times you bash me over the head. I'll sit there with my blood, with my head gushing with blood. I don't care. You know, is there no, I'm all right. But yeah, I don't care. If you are going to uplift my heart and uplift my brain and give me something to think about, this episode didn't give me anything to think about. I'm thinking, oh, it's old Ruby. I mean, it was, look, let's be honest, it was pretty obvious. It was old Ruby. But someone in the comments, please explain to me how she was able to watch old Ruby was watching young Ruby. Was there a convergence in time? I don't get it. Did I blink? Did I fall asleep? It was early in the morning. It was early in the morning for me. It was about 9 a.m., about 7 a.m. for you in the UK. I live in Cyprus. We're 2 hours ahead of you, by the way. So yes, another hugely, disappointing episode. First episode written by RTD. Second episode written by RTD, I think. Fourth episode written by RTD. The only episode that was any good is the episode that wasn't written by RTD. Do you see something here? But I'll say what I said on the top of the show. No one can fire him. He can only fire himself. I want you to understand. The BBC can't even get rid of him. It's a partnership. I mean, when he was the head writer, right, he wasn't, he's still, look, RTD's mainly always had a bit of power behind him, even before Doctor Who. But Doctor Who gave him a lot of legitimacy. He brought Doctor Who back and made it huge, huger than it ever was. That gives you a lot of legitimacy in this world. And you can't fire him. He can only fire himself. And so we will see. And as I say, there's a big decision coming. Disney have to decide if they want to keep on producing and funding this show. Because they're either going to pick up season 3 or they're not going to pick up season 3. And then Doctor Who will need new investors, new producing partners. And it'll be interesting if they want to do that. If the BBC just say, do you know what? Enough's enough, Russell. And just think about this. We could have got Sarah Lancashire and the showrunner of Happy Valley running Doctor Who and Sarah playing the Doctor. And a lot of bitches would have cried about another female Doctor. But as I've always said, I don't care about a female Doctor. There's a lot of people who believe there shouldn't be a female Doctor, that there should only be a white dude playing the Doctor from England. And as I've said before, the character can regenerate into anything, basically, right? Become a robot, become a black person, become a woman. And I think Sarah Lancashire would have been an awesome Doctor, and the showrunner of Happy Valley would have given us some fucking depth. I've told you this before. Doctor Who is either desperate for the axe or desperate for new thinking. Because from the moment RTD has come back, it's clear he wasn't interested in any new thinking. He brought back David Tennant as this beta male, current day 14th Doctor. Nothing like the iconic 10th Doctor that David performed and he wrote. Because the mentality is different now. Very, very different. So David comes back in 3 shite episodes. And you know what? I was rewatching Power of the Doctor. The RTD2 is so bad that the Chibnall era looks so great. Or maybe the Chibnall era, after all, wasn't as underwhelming and as boring as I felt. I mean, some of it is. Season 11 is quite drab, even though the production values, and there are some good episodes, there. But anyway, I was watching The Power of the Doctor. Now, I've always believed that The Power of the Doctor, even though I wasn't a big fan of the Chibnall era, it was a great bookend to the Chibnall era. It was perfect. For me, it was perfect in terms of Chibnall. It's exciting. It's got emotion. I thought Whittaker was great. I liked the ending with Yaz and the Doctor. I got a bit teary there, even though I was never invested in Yaz. And that relationship, I did find a little bit sad. And I'm thinking, do you know what? And I've said this before. It was a better celebration of 60 years of Doctor Who, even though it wasn't supposed to be a celebration of 60 years of Doctor Who, than the actual 3 hours that was supposed to be a celebration of Doctor Who that we got. Chibnall did a better fucking job at celebrating Doctor Who than Davies did, because he got into bed with Disney, and Disney think the Doctor's past is problematic, and this is why they're calling it Season 1. How is it working out for you to, rewriting history and trying to change Doctor Who? How is it working out? Ooh, those sonic screwdrivers are a bit dangerous. Let's make it fucking square. Oh yeah, this is a car crash. This is a disaster. And I'll be clear. Whatever I think about all the nonsense RTD's been saying, going back to the Davros thing as well, if he was performing greatness, if he was writing great Doctor Who, I would say it. I would accept the bullshit he was saying. I'd say, well, that's RTD. He's always been passive-aggressive anyway. So, he's taking it far now. And I don't have issues with people in dresses and things like that as villains. I said that yesterday as well. As long as you entertain me. I don't care about any of that shit. All I care about is great Doctor Who. and you almost did it, RTD. You gave us a solid first act of a Doctor Who episode. But you lost your mind. And you know how you ruined this episode? Because all of a sudden you decided to make Ruby arrogant, cocky, and overconfident. You decided to do this whole politics thing, this whole right-wing dude thing. And it sucked. You didn't even spend much time on him. I mean, would I really want to watch that episode? Probably not. But you just shoved it in there for messaging and commentary. I'm mid-left as well. I don't like the Tories. I'm not a fan of the right wing. If you are right wing, that's absolutely fine. You know, everyone has every right to have their beliefs. It's okay. No one should get cancelled for anything. Just telling you where I stand when I talk against this extreme left narrative. Because I'm not with that either. I don't like hatred. I don't like bullying. And it was pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic. And from that moment, the episode is over. It's done. I am just sitting there. And I'm like I'm looking at you. I'm like this. Oh my God. I was actually enjoying the first half of the episode. It actually seemed okay. I was getting into it. I thought, wow. Millie Gibson's going to get praise. This is a great episode. I'm still not happy that I don't know her as a character. But at least it's an intriguing episode. It gets you intrigued. But then he can't, and then he ruins it by doing the whole politics bullshit. And the answer to the mystery is shit, even though it was obvious. It was old Ruby. But it's like a writer who doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to finish his story. And believe you me, I'm not doing that as a writer. If I write a story and I think, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh, I just do that. No, never, ever, ever. See, I make it my business, part of amateur dramatics, with my amateur dramatics family, my theatre. After a play we do, I sit with the audience afterwards and I talk to them. And I ask them honestly. They know they can be honest with me. I'm not like the people in, proper entertainments. I sit there and I say, be honest. And if they say they didn't like it, I literally get my notepad and I write and I kind of look at it. I use their criticism to make me and the amateur dramatics team better. So we can write better stories. But that won't happen with Doctor Who. Because he's so arrogant and so deluded that he won't listen. He talks about dark places in Twitter. There are some people affected by what you say. There's some people affected that, you had someone, a drag artist, as a villain. I don't care about that. Some people are very angry that Ncuti Gatwa called out white mediocrity. I don't agree with what he said. I thought it was dumb to say it, but he said it. I'm still ready to consume Doctor Who. I suppose we shouldn't really mention that you didn't really think you missed the Doctor in this episode either, even though he was barely in it. That's not a good thing. Of course, this is really only his 5th, 6th episode, if you include the giggle. And he hasn't warmed to me. I haven't warmed to him, shall I say. I'm not feeling him. I don't think he has a screen presence yet. I think he's a talented guy. But he hasn't earned his right to be the Doctor. It does take time with me. Maybe it'll happen at the finale. I damn well hope so. I'm going to keep on watching Doctor Who. Not just for this channel, not to hate watch, because I've said before, I love Doctor Who and I want it to be great. But only half of this episode was half decent. And in the end, as I say, you're rolling your eyes and you're just waiting for it to finish because you've had enough. Because it's terrible. Because it's insulting. Because ultimately, this is half of an idea. He had an idea, but when he gets to the climax, he doesn't know how to climax it in a satisfying way. So it's not interesting anymore. It's old Ruby, she watches young Ruby come out the TARDIS, and then that version of young Ruby tells the Doctor not to tread on that magical thing, and everything's all right. It's bullshit, right? Unless you're easily pleased, unless you don't have, the brain cells. I'm sure the idea was to get people asking questions about the arc and about the episode. It isn't interesting. It doesn't work. I think it is interesting in the first... I genuinely think this is a good episode. There's the makings of a good episode in the first half. But he ruins it. He ruins it with his ideology and his politics, and it's insufferable because modern day entertainment is insufferable. RTD2 is insufferable.